To Rafizi as well, like I think the most important thing that we are very unhappy about, about your statements for the past 1 week or so was that you have been changing from one statement to another statement, from launchpad to game plan to today was dynamics and things like that. We are still not certain whether what you wanted to say was that, Anwar must win this and will become the next MB or not. We are still uncertain about that. You keep on changing, and if you read even in the press, he kept denying, no, I might or I might not. So what is the plan? And how do you think that, we know how Jaya is acting, right? It's like a state within a state. And how could, if he becomes an assemblyman in Selangor, how do you think that he could be able to control these people, a state within a state? How could he make change in all these political dynamics in what you're talking about? Yes, thank you.
Farouk asked about my so-called changing statements. I wish if everyone can refer to the first write-up. And I have explained on the issue of a convergence of factors. It is true that there are 2 or 3 considerations. If you ask me honestly, was party problems was a factor? It was a factor. Was making Selangor a launchpad for Putrajaya and part of a bigger Pakatan Rakyat strategy a factor? It was a factor. Was some disagreement with Tan Sri Khalid's handling of certain issues was a factor? It was a factor. These factors had existed for years. But the dynamics of development since 505, especially with regards to race and religions in the last few months, was the final push that together convinced us. We never believed that we should do it because we needed to solve party problem. We never believed that we had to do it to show our disagreements with Tan Sri Khalid. But once you reach a critical factor that we think that we had to intervene when it comes to race and religious issue, now the fact that it also addresses and meet some of the objectives of the others, that's a normal thing, Doctor. And that's exactly what I have outlined. The primary objective, the primary motive for this is to really stop, at least to deflate the temperature for the time being, and to alter the political landscape in UMNO and in Selangor. While we are at it, once we can do that, we think at the same time, we can also bring cohesion to Tan Sri Khalid, Saudara Azmin, Datuk Sri Anwar, to the PKR teams in Selangor. What's wrong with that? It's even better, is it not? It provides a bigger impetus for us to do it. If, for example, by having Datuk Sri Anwar in whatever capacity in Selangor, can improve and settle some of the disagreements or policies that we think could have done better, and that in the long run and in the bigger picture helps us to win Putrajaya, that's also an objective. I have been in organization, in corporate, when we strategize, and I was a corporate planner and strategist, when we strategize, don't tell me you just strategize for just one objective. You have a primary objective, and hopefully the more goals and the more good things you achieve out of it, the better, Doctor. So if you want to fault us for waiting for all this convergence of issues to come together to provide us the compelling reason to do it, I can't disagree with you. It's your right to fault us. But we feel by having 3 or 4 of these objectives achieved, at the end of the day, the bigger picture is we will move closer to Putrajaya. And what's wrong with that? Right. I have explained some of the lampooning that happened after that, That's why we decided, okay, orang tanya, kenapa tidak diumumkan terus sebab-sebabnya semasa peletakan jawatan? It's precisely because we wanted to avoid spoken statements. Because spoken statements can be misconstrued, taken out of context, or spin to be something else. That's why we waited for one whole day, allow people to get angry, because we wanted to make sure that the first response is in writing, because then you can always go back to that write-up. If doctor go back to that write-up, I'm convinced that you will see that is how we lay out the case one by one. We have 2 or 3 of these factors, but the most compelling factors that push us beyond and convince us we had to do this is, of course, to deflate the temperature and to stop BN from continuing playing the race and religions issues in Selangor. So that, in fact, people tell me the less you speak, the better. I can't, because people like you keep asking. You know, so that's why, you know, I wish as many people go back and refer to the initial write-up and the second interview that I gave. Because in that interview, I also addressed the concerns that Dato' Ambiga asked. Why can't we be just forthcoming with people of Selangor, whether or not Dato' Sri Anwar is going to be an MB? If we say that now, you bring other stakeholders that may complicate matters too early on. Because the moment you talk about a question of MB, it's just not a matter for Pakatan Rakyat or PKR. There are other stakeholders involved. And we have to do things one by one, step by step, achieve a victory in Kajang first. Out of that, we will cross the bridge when we are there. And I don't think we can do it any other way, because telling people immediately what is the plan may complicate it further with all the other stakeholders in Selangor, which are complex, you know, which I hope you understand. And I'll try, I promise myself, hopefully this is the last forum that I have to explain. After this, any reporter ada kat depan ni ask me, I will ask you to refer to this forum. Because the same question has been asked over and over again. If I cannot convince you after this 1 week and after this long forum, I have not convinced you. Then whatever questions you ask is just to take a break back at me. You know, it's not really to get an answer. You already have the answer, you are not convinced, live and let live. Let us move forward. You disagree, and we will do what's necessary. Thank you.